Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to ESBN, and most importantly, welcome to the sprint car capital of the world, Knoxville, Iowa, here for the Dirty Old Bastards 410 Sprint Car Series. My name will be Ryan Williams. Tonight I'm joined by not only Mr. Sam Cooper Bennett on the cams, but Mr. Tony Trapasso is back with me once again. Tony, we're coming off of an off week for the DOB Sprint Car Series, and some other crazy things have happened as our people will see a double header here tonight.
I have never been so excited to call a race than I am tonight, being as, like you mentioned, we are doing a double header, and we're bringing in arguably the most awesome thing ever to circulate around a dirt oval. The big block modifieds make their debut on ESBN tonight.
Now I may have a little bit of sentiment in my heart for some other vehicles that go around dirt, such as late models, but I've witnessed a few big block modified races. They are a sight to behold nonetheless, and I'm super excited, as are you, to be calling that a little bit later. But first task at hand, Knoxville, Iowa, the Knoxville Raceway here with the DOB 410 Sprint Car Series, and so far we're not seeing our three-peat winner Cameron Merriman show up for this one yet.
We're not, and we are also seeing points leader Rusty Krueger mired back in 5th place in hot laps so far.
That's exactly right. It's Kevin Hanley up top right now. Darren Detweiler, another newer name. A lot of new names here for me. Steven Goldner, Jake Greenwood, Rusty Krueger, the first one I see that I know and love. But a lot of new guys here chasing down Krueger and Keegan, who sit atop the point standings out front by a good margin.
Yeah, and the thing is, though, if you take a look at your top 8, they're separated by a 10th, which is pretty impressive.
Here in this race, it is impressive, especially at the Knoxville Raceway. I mean, for the first majority of the event, we go through the heat races, you're probably going to see guys run that lower line, and then as the track works in, we're going to see some guys absolutely hugging the wall. This one's going to be interesting to see who's going to pull out the slide jobs, who's going to hug it to the bottom and try to maintain some momentum, but my money's on this being one of the better events you're going to see from this Sprint Car Series throughout this season.
Absolutely. This track is wide, it's fast, and the one thing you do have to be careful of, especially when they're running that low line, like we see Hanley doing right there as hot lap sessions come to an end, there's a berm on the inside of this course that if you catch, it's very easy to catch it with a left front wheel, and if you do, there goes your steering, and if anybody's on the outside of you, you're piecing 2 race cars back onto the haulers.
I have had my fair share of run-ins with that berm, as have probably you and so many others. It's not fun to ride around it at all, especially in a sprint car. I mean, in the bigger stock cars, you can kind of maintain just a little bit, but with how light these sprint cars are, you hit that berm, you're going to wheels up, especially in a 410. So it's going to be a sketchy game around the bottom, as a lot of guys on the track early to take their qualifying times. Chris Roberts, Mike Keegan, Just C. Bandy not out yet. Jake Greenwood's out as well, so times are going to be coming here very quickly.
Jake Greenwood, the first one to put a time up, and immediately gets bumped off by Hanley. But, yeah, you hit the nail right on the head. I mean, it's real easy with the 410 to begin with to launch the front skyward. And all it takes is just a little bit of a bump, and those front wheels are completely losing contact with the ground. And if you'll notice, these guys had a 10-minute hot lap session. The cushion's already about halfway up the track, which means we're going to be rim riding and using the proverbial Larson line before the night's over.
They most definitely are. As you see already, the track wearing out a good bit. Times about a 10th slower than they were in hot laps. Kevin Hanley still sits on top of the board with the man who won, I believe, 3 races to kick off the season. Rusty Krueger sitting in second. Sansoni, Detweiler, and Keegan are your top 5 so far. We got just a couple of seconds left. They got about 10 seconds for this qualifying session. Doesn't look like anybody else is out as of yet, but they will have 2 heats, I believe, tonight.
If that's what my math is coming up with, we're going to see 2 heat races. So everybody's going to transfer. Top, I believe it's 2 from each heat are going to, or no, that's the next race. Never mind. So yeah, two heats of 2 heat races, 8 in the first one, 7 in the second one, as the first heat race getting ready to grid up right now.
That also means that your top 3 will go to that 6-person dash to determine your top 6 for the feature event. But heat race number 1 lines up as follows. You got Kevin Hanley rolling off on the pole with Vinny Sansone second. Next row back, you'll find Mike Keegan and Kyle Stoltz. Row number 3 sees Jesse Bandy and Kyle Moonen. And then rounding out the field, back in row number 4 will be Steven Goldner and Tyson Landis.
So 8 cars scheduled to roll off, 8 laps. Top 3 go into the 6-gun shootout, if you will. That'll happen after both heat races are over. Everybody is going to transfer into the A main. And again, you're definitely going to want to stick around after this race tonight for the premiere of the DOB Big Block Modified Tour, as we are going to have to leave Knoxville and immediately go to the Grove.
That's exactly right. Williams Grove is going to be a spectacular show with those big block modifieds. I have hopes for, well, I at least have hopes of that. And there they go, rolling out onto the track for your first heat race event. Kevin Hanley up there in that 110, lightning quick in qualifying. And his time to put up or shut up for that driver if he wants to roll off high in the field for the feature.
And this is going to be a difficult task for some of these guys, as my timing and scoring just took a poo.
That's no good. You better get it back up and running. Like for Hanley, the biggest thing here is he's got a guy to his outside in Vinny Sansone who's been lights out all year, top 5, top 3 runs all year long. I believe has scored 1 win if I pull up some race results here.
And he's he's got Keegan behind him too in the X, and Keegan's no slouch, especially when we get to the bigger tracks like here at Knoxville.
Well, you think about these guys, and in this series in particular, none of these guys are slouches. Because, I mean, it takes some gall to drive these 410 sprint cars. I know I do not prefer them. But as I say that, the pace truck ducks off. The 110 will fire out of 4. We're underway from Knoxville.
Hanley with a great lead. Sansone battling it out right now. Gets a little bit of a break away from Keegan, as Keegan has Stoltz all over him right now.
You see a battle for the...
That's Moonen, sorry.
That it is. And we've also got a battle back there for the 5th position. The 01 of Stoltz got around the 57, now works down the 24. Tries to jump to the inside here, trying to get a little nose in on him. Not going to do anything as that 24 comes down, cuts the line. We work into lap number 2, or 3.
Still side by side with Keegan and Mooney, as Moonen trying to get that inside line to work, flirting with that inside barrier, trying to find whatever little grip he can get his hands on right now. But he's got to be careful because he's got Stoltz all over his tail tank.
That's exactly right. Little contact between the 01 and the 24. They separate out just a little bit as the 24 turns his attention back to the X of Keegan, trying to get a run. We work into lap number 5 here at Knoxville. We're still the same as we were the lap before.
Keegan has it. Moonen wants it. And wow.
Big
that
bobble
was
there.
Ugly. That was Landis going for a ride.
That it wasn't. He gets it back going, but absolutely lost it there. Luckily for Landis, though, the good side of that is that he will make the A main, so no more worse for wear than he was just a moment ago, but still, we're on lap number 7 here. That 57, he's charging hard on the 01, trying to get that spot back from Stoltz here as they battle for 5th.
White flag out this time for your leader, Hanley. Sansone about 4 car lengths back. Keegan still in the final transfer spot to get into the 6-gun shootout. Got Moonen all over him. Quarter of a mile to go. Keegan still with it, running that high line. Hanley going to hang on for the victory. Sansoni in second, Keegan in third, Moonen in fourth, Stoltz hanging on for fifth, Brandy coming home in sixth, Goldner in seventh, and Landis going to have to go to the backup car in eighth.
So that of course sent Hanley, Sansoni, and Keegan to the 6-gun shootout. Now gridding up will be heat race number 2, with Rusty Krueger rolling off on the pole. Your second fast qualifier, Darren Detweiler to his outside. Row number 2 finds Jake Greenwood and Chris Roberts in the 93. Row number 3 sees John Bragman and Aaron Schaefer. And then all by his lonesome back there in 7th will be Jeffrey Stewart in the number 72.
So 7 cars scheduled to roll off in this one. Chevy Silverado Pace Truck getting ready to roll it off as the official pace truck of iRacing. Krueger going to have control of this one. Again, 8 laps of scheduled distance. And if what we saw in that first heat race is any indication what we're going to see in the second one, and you can see the cushion already inching closer to that outside rub rail.
I could almost guarantee you that by the time this thing gets to the feature event, it will be all the way up against that beautiful outside wall here at the Knoxville Speedway. That's one of those, speaking of the wall here at Knoxville, it's unlike many that you see. The only really 2 places I could think of that have a wall like that are Knoxville and Williams Grove.
As far as dirt tracks go, yeah. Because Armco, it was the original safer barrier because the aluminum gives.
Yep.
It was the original safer barrier, and a lot of tracks have gone to a more traditional, air quote, safer style barrier since then. But lights are out on the Chevy Silverado Pace Truck as Krueger has control of the field. Field works its way through the 3-4 complex. We're getting ready to fire them off for heat race number 2.
There we are. Krueger, your points leader. He rolls us off on the pole. He's going to gun it out of turn number 4. The green flag waves. Heat race number 2 action underway.
Greenwood with a great jump on that inside line, already putting Double D Darren Detweiler under pressure right now. Detweiler hanging it loose on the outside, trying to maintain. And here comes Chris Roberts in the 93.
Roberts showing that the outside has domination here at the Knoxville Raceway. Gets clean around that 43. Rides in third currently. Ooh, big little bobble there into the outside wall for Detweiler. That might cost him a little bit as Roberts making up a tiny bit of ground out of turn number 4. We work into lap number 3 here.
As Krueger continues lead by about a car length and a half, Detweiler trying to stay with him, and you can see that these guys are lifting that right front wheel up off the ground. They're getting a lot of left rear bite, which you have to do here.
We saw a big bobble there out of Bragman, who got into both the 72 and the 77. He falls all the way back to 7th position. He's pretty content to just ride there for now. It seems as so far so good for most of these guys. Single file into lap number 5 here.
Greenwood and Roberts still throwing hand grenades at each other as Roberts has that final transfer spot. Greenwood wants it. Greenwood trying to figure out how he can get by Roberts right now as Detweiler starting to reel in Krueger a little bit. He's inching ever closer to your points leader.
That he is, working down lap number 6 here, down the back straightaway, the 43, inching closer and closer, as you stated, to Chris Roberts, but Roberts running the exact same line as him, may just be a little too far away with 2 to go.
As Jeff Stewart trying to figure out something, a way to get some more momentum in that number 5 slot right now, as he has cleared Schaefer. Schaefer has to deal with Bragman, but meanwhile Krueger with a 4-car length lead over Detweiler. Detweiler with about the same distance over your 3rd place runner Chris Roberts. Roberts doing whatever he can to hang on, and checkered flag out this time across the stripe. Krueger going to hang on for the victory. Detweiler in 2nd. Chris Roberts getting the final transfer into the 6-gun shootout.
That's exactly right. So that means that your 6-gun shootout will be Hanley, Sansoni, Keegan, Krueger, Detweiler, and Roberts. They're going to go through a bit of a redraw to see where they will line up for that 6-gun shootout. And while they do that, we just want to let you guys know that tonight's broadcast of this DOB 410 Sprint Car Series is presented by our great sponsors at diecastnuts.com. You can post your own diecast collection, you can add to it or trade in the shop, and you can see everybody's collections there at diecastnuts.com. Follow them on Facebook as well. Look up Diecast Nuts, you can find them there. We're also brought to you by Rocket Racing Setups, one of the best iRacing setup builders. Great setups for the price. You can find them at Rocket Racing Setups. They offer so much, from fuel sheets to setup guides, anything you could need. And of course, as always, this 410 Sprint Car Series is brought to you by Countryside Stove and Chimney of Central New York, Alex Bergeron Setup Shops, Design Metal Art, and Bud Kicker. They bring you guys this awesome DOB 410 Sprint Car Series, and this is just the tip of the iceberg for the night.
Absolutely. And while you're here, don't forget to like, favorite, subscribe, share, turn on bell notifications so you don't miss a single action here on ESBN all week long.
That's exactly right. And I mean, as always, if you're sitting there in one of our chat rooms, be it Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, whatever we're broadcasting on tonight, let us know down in that comment section who you think's walking away with the feature win here tonight, whether it be some of your front runners like Hanley, Sansone, Krueger, Keegan, anybody. Let us know who you think's going to win here tonight as they're lining up currently to go out for that 6-gun dash.
And it looks like Hanley going to start up on the point. Vinny Sansone drawing the number 2 slot. No word yet who is going to be starting 3rd and 4th. But your final row is going to be Rusty Krueger and Mike Keegan. I do know that.
It looks like Krueger is up beside the X of Hanley, so he may be rolling off on outside pole. It does seem we got Sansone in the 4th position. The 110 looks like he'll start 3rd, so looks like they got everything just about right. And the green flag will fly. It's the X of Hanley taking it. The rest follow into turn number 1. Hard battles down the back straightaway between the 3 and the 110. The 80 sticks to the outside. That's Sansone getting an absolute run. He's going to take away that 3rd position. The 110, nothing he can do about it as he slides up in behind him here down the back straightaway.
The 92 of Keegan showing the way right now as Krueger throws a slide job coming through 3 and 4 side by side down the front straightaway they come. And Keegan able to hang on in the X. 2 laps to go as Keegan's still showing the way. Sansone all over the back bumper of Krueger right now. That's your top 3 as we are 2 to go in this 6-gun shootout.
That's exactly right. We're working down lap 4 currently. Sansone peaks, but realizes what Krueger's doing, so he's going to pull back up behind him and try to get a run as Krueger dipped low. Sansone not quite going to have it. Going to just slide up right in behind him. Krueger's going to go for the gusto here in turn number 3, it looks like. Slides it down to the inside. Slide job out of Krueger. Not so much. Pulls up right back behind the X. White flag this time by.
Krueger trying to flirt with disaster. Gets into him coming off of 2. Side by side. Here comes Sansone for 2nd. 3 wide. Contact all around. Krueger with the point right now. Sansone gets into Keegan again. Coming to the stripe. Krueger going to hang on for the victory.
It was Krueger, Keegan, Sansone there. So Rusty Krueger will roll off from the pole. I think he's done so many times this year, looking for yet another win with this DOB 410 Sprint Car Series. I think these guys are going to come out, cut some more hot laps before we get into the feature event as well.
Yeah, but you take a look at the quick times from that little shootout that they just had. Mm-hmm. Krueger and Sansone turning identical times.
That is a little bit crazy, and it will probably play a huge factor if both of these guys can hit their marks consistently in this feature event. We're in for one heck of a show. Both of these guys, day in, day out, amazing drivers on the iRacing servers. As you stated 2 weeks ago, Krueger, one of those Black Bumper Brigades, one of the Pro Series drivers, taking some time here to run this DOB 410 Sprint Car Series. And so far, so good for that driver, as he's going to lead us to green here in the feature later tonight.
Looking to get his 4th win on the season. We're not going to see a three-peat tonight, though, as the other member of the Black Bumper Brigade not here tonight.
That's right. Again, that is Cameron Merriman, who had been dominating the past two races I go back
3.
past
So we're not
three,
going to see a 4-peat tonight.
we're not going to see a 4-peat. That is exactly what it is, as Merriman won Williams Grove, Weedsport, and Cedar Lake all back-to-back. And before that, it was Krueger winning 3 in a row at Volusia, USA, and Lernerville all back-to-back. So tonight is a great opportunity for Krueger to take the win total lead back from Merriman as we get into the latter half of the season. Not too much more to go for this sprint car series. You got Eldora, Cedar Lake, Limaland, Lanier, and then the season finale at Charlotte on April the 29th. So we're getting down to the nitty gritty here for these guys.
Absolutely. And while we are talking about the different tracks that we're going to be going to, go ahead and drop a comment in one of the live chats if you're watching right now. Let us know which facility in iRacing is your favorite. And if your favorite track that you go to, your favorite local dirt track, is not in the iRacing servers, let us know which one you would love to see iRacing scan.
Oh, boy, you could get me started there. I mean,
I know, right?
Even the tracks around where I'm at that are so historical in southeastern folklore, like Cherokee Speedway, and even tracks in Georgia such as Sonoya. Gosh, they're endless, and I'd love to see a bunch of those tracks come into the iRacing servers. I know I would absolutely tear them up.
Well, there's a good 20 tracks within an hour's drive of where I live. And, I mean, iRacing's not even 10 hours up the road from me. The iRacing main office. It takes me 10 hours to get from where I live to Boston. So, there's no real reason why there's a lot of, especially Northeast tracks that iRacing hasn't scanned yet. Both pavement and dirt. There's a ton of Saturday night special, your local short tracks that iRacing could be scanning that they haven't yet. And I do use that qualifier in there, yet.
There is the big yet, but obviously there's also the money factor, how much it costs them to go in and scan these tracks. So I mean, you can't really fault them for what they're doing, but there are a lot of, really, as far as the dirt aspect goes, they've scanned a lot of tracks. Most of them are Midwestern tracks that will be coming to the iRacing servers, up tracks in Illinois, Indiana, places like that. So they're kind of steering clear of the Northeast for now, it seems.
Well, the reason for that is because of the whole virus thing that's been going around. I don't want to say it because I don't want to get us demonetized, but I do know that there's one track that, with them bringing out the big block dirt modifieds, there's one track that they could get double duty out of as both a pavement track and a dirt track, and that, of course, is the Steel Palace in Oswego, New York.
That it is. I mean, I'd also like to see, Port Royal come in, the bigger tracks up there like that, and I'd absolutely love to see those tracks. But our focus tonight, the Knoxville Speedway in Knoxville, Iowa. We are now starting to finally grid up for this feature event, and we will line up as follows, as it's pulled up on your screen there. Your pole sitter winning heat race number 2, and then winning the dash, it will be Rusty Krueger, I do believe, with Kevin Hanley to his outside, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you are correct.
But I believe it's Keegan and the X.
Yes, it's going to be Keegan. Krueger and Keegan are going to make up row number 1. Then you've got Sansoni and Hanley in row number 2.
And then you'll find Detweiler and Roberts, and that's when we get to the guys that we already know about that we don't have to guess on for a second, where you've got Moonen and Greenwood making up the next row back, and then you've got Stoltz and Stewart rounding out your top 10.
Jesse Bandy and Aaron Schaefer are going to roll off in row 6. Row 7 sees Steve Goldner and John Bragman, and starting shotgun on the field is going to be Tyler Landis in the 31. So 15 cars scheduled to roll off for 36 laps around this mile and a half. Sorry, half mile.
Yeah, exactly. And then as mile and a half, good Lord, could you imagine that? I don't want to imagine that on a dirt track.
We'll talk during the next commercial break.
Yes, we will. Because I mean, the only really the biggest dirt track I can think of is the Syracuse Mile,
which they tore down 4 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
And I cried when I saw the grandstand go poof.
Oh,
because I was parked on the highway.
And again, there's one other that I believe hosts ARCA Series races that I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. Springfield, that's it. And those are about the biggest dirt tracks I see, but 1.5 miles. Good Lord, that'd be crazy. But back to the business at hand. We will, as you guys are accustomed to seeing, we will be taking one parade lap while they get lined up in the correct order. And until then, Tony, tell me what you were trying to tell me.
Well, here's the thing. The last time the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars went to the Syracuse Mile, they clocked Billy Pouch, who took pole that year, going into turn 1 at 185 miles an hour in a 410 wing sprint car back in 1992.
That sounds dangerous.
Very much so, but something that's not dangerous is the pace truck is off. We're getting ready to turn them loose this time by. Krueger going to have the button. The only thing that's left to do is take one final tear off, adjust the 5-point harnesses. Grandpa, pop a wagger, because it's time to get it on in Knoxville.
There it is. It's Krueger on the point. He fires down turn number 4. Green flag waves. Here we go.
Keegan and Sansoni all over each other as they work their way through the 1-2 complex. Krueger with a little bit of a lead right now. Sansoni with Duttweiler side by side for third as Duttweiler get a little bit of a better run on that outside line. The second groove already starting to come in as Krueger working the cushion. Keegan right there with him, about 3 car lengths back.
A little bit further back in the field, a battle for 5th was brewing between Chris Roberts and Kevin Hanley. Hanley on the outside in that 110. Roberts trying the inside right in front of them. You see the 80 of Sansone peeking to the inside of Duttweiler looking for third. Sansone going to fire it off into the corner. Duttweiler trying to stay off of the wall there. Doesn't do so. Taps it just a tiny bit. Sansone holds the inside going into turn number 1.
Sansone with a slide job coming off at 2. As Duttweiler, you saw him bang the wall coming off of 4. Now you got to be real careful with these cars because the Z-link that holds that rear end straight is very easy to bend in those. And here comes Hanley to the inside of Duttweiler too. Duttweiler might be having some handling problems.
That was the closest call I've seen as of yet between that 43 car there of Greenwood and Hanley. Just about clipped him. Managed to stay off of him, and he trails him by about a car length and a half here. These guys pushing the envelope early and often here. We're on lap number 7. Still 29 laps remaining. That 3 car of Duttweiler still itching to get by the 110 of Hanley.
Duttweiler having a little bit of problems putting the power down as the front wheels want to come up. Here comes Greenwood to the inside of Roberts. And that is your battle for 6 as they are both all over the back bumper of the number 3.
Greenwood going to stick to the inside of Duttweiler here. Roberts trails back just a tad bit, but Greenwood pretty much cleared him. Going to slide up in front of him out of the turn and down that back straightaway we go. Got a little bit dyslexic there for a second, but we're back. And now Greenwood working down the 110 machine of Hanley.
Greenwood may have found something during that warm-up session as he is definitely turning it on right now, starting to make up some ground as he's reeling in Sansoni hand over fist as we are already 10 laps in the books this time across.
And we're trading slide jobs back and forth between Greenwood and Hanley. It's Greenwood's turn, slides up in front of Hanley. Hanley ducks to the bottom, going to get a run, and he's going to trade the favor right back into turn number 3. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Sprint Cars at Knoxville. Slide jobs back and forth.
Hanley seems to have gotten the clear right now as Duttweiler now has to worry about Greenwood. Greenwood running that outside lane, trying to keep the momentum up as Duttweiler flirting with disaster. And here comes the 10 of Hanley, or 110 to the inside of the 80 of Sansoni. Sansoni able to keep it wound up though.
Sansoni sticking out in front of him. He's still got that X in front of him. The 43 of Greenwood starting to work down Hanley, as is the 3 machine of Duttweiler. Ooh, I'm going to throw a blanket over those bulls. Oh, X around, 80 around. We got caution here down the front straightaway.
Keegan got it all wrong coming through the 3-4 complex. and unfortunately, Sansoni, nowhere to go, got collected in that one.
That's one of those dangerous games you play with the outside berm. You jump the berm, all heck is going to break loose. Keegan just misjudged it a tiny bit, and Sansone, like you said, nowhere to go, collected in the mayhem. Take a look real quick. Let's see what that 3-car of Detweiler, oh man, threads the needle right through the middle as well. Lucky break there for the driver number 3. He better rub that rabbit's foot he's got in the cockpit. And thank the Lord that he made it through that.
Probably changed the flavor of his fire suit before he was done. Something along the lines of a chocolate lemon.
I'm pretty sure he put on his brown pants this morning.
True story. So we're going to rack him, stack him, to fire him off again as Krueger still up on the point. Hanley sitting in second place. That's going to drop Detweiler into third. Then we've got the 24 of Kyle Moonen in fourth. Single file restart as the field starts to work its way towards that top groove, because you're not allowed to pass to the outside until the start-finish line. So you're pretty much going to see everybody going as far to the outside as they can get to try to block any passes before they get to the start-finish line.
That's exactly right, yeah.
And Schaefer's in the pits.
To reinstate it, not allowed to pass to the inside before the start-finish line. I know I've been bitten by it many a time, as probably most of these guys have, so they're going to try and stick to the outside. And who did you say running the pits? Was that Aaron Schaefer in the 77?
Schaefer in... okay. Not sure exactly what's going on there, but lights are out on the Chevy Silverado pace truck, the official pace truck of iRacing. As the field works its way through the 3-4 complex, pace truck is in. Krueger can pull the trigger when he wants to. Jumps on the loud pedal, and we are back underway.
Krueger with a clean shot into turn number 1. The 110 tried to get back to the inside of him. Going to trail off here by about 2 car lengths of Krueger. Most of these guys running a version of the slider line so far. You see that 80 of Sansone. He's already on the move. We're about 4 wide back there for 11th place.
Sansone driving like a man possessed right now, less than happy with what happened earlier, trying to make up some ground, and he's got a big gap to make up right now as he's still all over the back bumper of the X of Keegan.
Sansone and Keegan, men possess so far. Sansone using that slider line to his advantage. I'm not one to usually use the slider line, but it's working for Sansone currently, as him and Keegan trying to get back towards the front of the field, looking back towards the front of the field. However, we're pretty much all clean and green except for a battle between, I believe, the 24 and the 3, as Moonen gets by Detweiler. Ooh, into the wall. Moonen up, riding the rail. Looks like a skateboarder there. He's on his side. Caution flag waves.
That would be a red flag in real life, but luckily we are in the virtual world and able to tow that car back to the pits. No harm, no real foul. Just going to get that thing fixed. Hopefully the tow is not going to be too much longer here, and he's going to be back out without losing any laps, because caution laps not counting here on the dirt side.
But again, that's a tough break right there. We talk about the announcer's curse a lot, and it bit Moonen right there as he ran it in just a little bit hot. And like happened with that caution between the 92 and the 80, you jump the berm, you go over, and Moonen, unfortunate. Looks like he's going to get back out on the racetrack here soon, though, so no harm, no foul. He'll be able to get back into this thing. His night is not done, but right now it's all been Rusty Krueger out front.
Stewart and Bragman both bringing it pit side as well. Looks like they may have gotten a little bit of damage in that slight melee. But the one guy that needs to go pit side to get that Watts link fixed is Double D in the 3, Darren Detweiler.
That's exactly right. Like you said, a little bit of damage for Detweiler. He might just try and try to, I don't know, make the best of it here, I guess. Because, again, I mean, there's no fast repairs in the league, so maybe he just doesn't want to give up the track position. Thinks that he's in the only place that he can be in. But Detweiler still a pretty good run for having a little bit of damage.
Well, we're just past the halfway point, so he's got a little bit of racing left to go. Hopefully the track starts to slick off and he's not going to have as much problem trying to get the power down, because every time he goes to lay on the loud pedal, that front end tries to hike up on him.
That is exactly right. I mean, these things, super easy to cut a wheelie in. It's fun when you want to do it, but it's not fun when you don't want to do it. And as you say, that lights are out on the Chevy Silverado pace truck. Krueger going to lead us into turn number 3. Tony, I'm going to turn it over to you. Do what you do so well. Bring us to the green, buddy.
Krueger with the button can pull the trigger anytime after that pace truck leaves the racing surface. Pace truck gets ready to make that hard left turn onto the access road. Pace truck's in. Krueger jumps on the loud pedal. We are back underway, and here comes Greenwood in the 43 on the high side.
Greenwood trying to do his best Kyle Larson impression. Has a big run. Pulls up even with Krueger into 3. Krueger going to use a bit of the slider line on the bottom. Tries to hug it around the berm. Greenwood going to continue to have the run, but Krueger is going to maintain the lead into lap number 21.
Greenwood using every little bit of cushion that he has left, flirting with disaster up on the rub rail, as Krueger holding that low line, trying to find a little bit of moisture down there. Might be playing with the wing a little bit to try to get the power down, and able to hold off Greenwood as we've got 22 laps in the books.
Now what we're starting to see here is that bottom line come back in as the track continues to wear. It's going to even out between top side and low side as you see guys like the 57 of Bandy, that 110 car. They're charging hard on the outside. We have a new leader up top. It is the 43 of Jake Greenwood.
Greenwood threw it in right down into that inside berm, just flirting with that left side tire up on the berm. Was able to get the drive off before, and Krueger was no way to defend. Both of them up right now, up against the cushion, going through 1 and 2. Greenwood starting to stretch his legs.
That's exactly right. Greenwood took advantage of any and every mistake that Krueger made. Krueger there makes another mistake, gets the car all weebly wobbly up there on the top. He's able to hold it down, but already a second back of Greenwood here, working down lap 25, coming into 26 next time by.
Krueger looks like he might be a little more comfortable on the low line, whereas Greenwood looks like he's able to hold it a little bit better on the high line. As they both proved me wrong going through 3 and 4, and both of them take the low line. Both of them right now running the high line through 1 and 2, low line through 3 and 4, as they are opening up one hell of a gap over Double D, Darren Detweiler, in the 3.
Their battles we've got brewing on the racetrack. The 80 of Sansone is still on a mission. He's using the entirely top line, the entirety of the top line, to try and get a run on Kyle Stoltz. Nothing doing for him right now, though. Sansone still with a little bit of damage, might just be out of luck here as Stoltz pulls back away, riding in the 9th position.
As Mike Keegan in the X gets by the 57 of Jesse Bandy, now sets his sights on getting back into the top 5, as Chris Roberts gets a little bit sideways coming off of 2.
We may have a battle brewing for a 3rd. I know we've got one for 4th as the X makes a hard charge to the back of the 93 of Roberts. Krueger still trailing off of Greenwood a good bit, who's out to a 1.5 second advantage. And you got Detweiler, Hanley, Roberts with Keegan on the back bumper.
Sansone and Stoltz still throwing hand grenades at each other. That is your battle for 8th right now, as Sansone finally got by Stoltz, now sets his sights on trying to reel in Bandy, but he's running out of time. It's Roberts with a great save coming off of 2.
Great save, but unfortunate contact between him and the 110 of Hanley. That allowed the X of Keegan to get by both of them. So Keegan, with one fail, swooped back into the top 5 into 4th.
Now sets his sights on trying to reel in the 3 of Detweiler. And here comes the 110 of Hanley to the inside, as Keegan struggling up on that outside line. Still side by side, Hanley and Roberts for 5th.
The outside might just be running out of juice, but there you see that X get a major run off of 2. Just about clocks it into the wall and thinks better of it in 3 and 4, hits down low.
The guys are flirting with disaster coming through the 1 and 2. And if you'll notice on the outside of 2, that big building there, that is the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. And I have seen cars end up in the showroom of that facility.
The greatest of the great go into that building. So you get the Sammy Swindell.
Not my choice.
Well, In some cases, yes. In some cases, no. The people inducted, yes. The people who end up in it by their own fault, no. Ooh, big contact between Roberts and the 3 Machine. Roberts, another great save. Man, a bit unfortunate these last 5 laps for Chris Roberts, but he's still out there, still battling with the 110 of Hanley.
As the X of Keegan and 3 of Detweiler still throwing bombs at each other, they have traded the 3rd place position back and forth for the last 4 laps. Keegan finally gets the clear as Detweiler seems to be having a little bit of handling problems as the track starts to really slick off, and white flag is out. Jake Greenwood with the lead.
That's right. Greenwood overtook the lead about 10 laps ago, and since then, he has run away with it. The driver out of the Midwest has not clocked a win on the year so far with the DOB 410 Sprint Car Series. But here at Knoxville, it's Greenwood off of Ford taking the checkered flag. Yes, that was the checkered flag for Greenwood there in the 43.
Krueger hanging on for 2nd. Keegan able to hang on for 3rd. Detweiler's fading to 4th. Chris Roberts rounding out your top 5.
Then you'll find Hanley in 6th. Vinny Sansone comes across 7th. Kyle Stoltz 8th. Jesse Bandy 9th. Tyson Landis comes home 10th with Steven Goldner in 11th. And you have John Bregman, Kyle Moonen, and then your 2 DNFs were Jeffrey Stewart and Aaron Schaefer.
So definitely a night those 2 guys would rather forget. But joining us now, the driver of the number 43 as he parks it in Knoxville Raceway Victory Lane. Congratulations, Jake Greenwood, on the victory tonight.
Thank you very much.
So talk us through the pass through the lead. We saw you throw the when the final green flag came out, we saw you just hang it out on the outside lane, just using whatever little bit of cushion you could get going through 1 and 2. Got an excellent run. What in your mind was going on when you decided to flirt with that inside berm going through 3 and 4 on the next lap?
Well, typically since 3 and 4, there's got the shade all night in real life on the track. It actually kind of translates in the game here, and so there's typically a little more moisture down there. So that's kind of my favorite spot to be, on the bottom there in 3 and 4. And the fence just in 1 and 2 had a lot of moisture up there, so I was just trying to hit my marks and go as fast as I could.
Well, you definitely got the restart that you needed. You were silently stalking Krueger most of the race. Talk us through the melee that you missed there as you threaded the needle when that first caution came out.
Oh yeah, that was pretty close. I kind of just had to hold my breath and pick a spot and just hope I didn't catch any damage from it. That was definitely a clincher for sure. That had me pretty nervous. Well,
Jake, congratulations on the victory tonight. You finally broke up the lock on victories that the Black Bumper Brigade have gotten this season. The first non-pro driver to win an event here with the DOB Countryside Sprint Car Series. Is there anybody you want to thank before we let you go?
Definitely my team, Most Modern Motorsports. Those guys are great people to be around, and can't thank those guys enough. Chris Roberts for putting on this league. This really is a blast no matter what series you're running. Design Metal Art. Check them out on Facebook. They got really cool stuff. If you're a racing fan, he can make you up some really cool things. Detweiler Designs for the awesome looking car, and you guys for broadcasting this thing.
All right. Well, Jake Greenwood, congratulations on your victory in the 410 Sprint Cars. We'll see you in a few minutes at Williams Grove in the Big Block Modifieds.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
And I believe, Ryan, you've got our second place finisher with you now.
That's exactly right. Your second place finisher here tonight was Rusty Krueger. Rusty, it started out as a great run for you. One of the faster cars throughout the heat races and that top 6 dash. And you got out front early, and then it looked like the berm kind of went away on you. Talk me through what was going through your mind there through the middle stage of that race.
If you watch Kyle Larson in the 5 car at Atlanta, it looked about like that. I just choked it away, plain and simple. Just kidding. Though. Jake ran an incredible race. Fair play to him, but yeah, I just kind of felt a little uncomfortable out there once it got slick.
Well, it does that to a lot of people. I mean, when the track gets slick, there's no telling what could happen. But you did rebound, hold down second for heck another second place finish here with the DOB 410 Sprint Car Series. You're even more so solidifying yourself as the top contender for the points championship here. Talk to me about how you plan to maintain and continue to grow that lead as you just rock off these top 2, top 3 finishes every single week.
And you just gotta keep pressing, staying aggressive. You don't get anywhere just trying to count points or nothing. That's where you can get into trouble. But just gonna take this week by week and try and get the best finish we can, no matter what.
Well, we've got an interesting one next week, the Eldora Speedway, another bigger track. Are you expecting it to race similarly to Knoxville? Or are you expecting it to be ride the berm all the way around?
Not really ride the berm. You go up on the fence and hold on in the whip section for dear life. So, I mean, we'll give it our best go there, but that's not really one of my favorite places, even though I look like an absolute animal during 4-crown there. However, we'll see. Cam's probably come back. There's some hitters coming, so we're just gonna give it the best we got.
Well, we here at ESPN, we're absolutely looking for it. Before we let you get going here tonight and celebrate your second place finish, Rusty, take us through some of the sponsors on the race car. Let us know who's helping you get to the track.
Yeah, I think the boys over there at Speed Lab Esports and Slick Sim Sport, they put the cars together. They bust their ass at the shop week in, week out, and then Jake Swanson Shocks gives us amazing virtual CSIs. Fast for Me and K1, Bear Archery, and that's about it.
All right. Well, Rusty, congratulations on yet another top 3 finish. Wasn't exactly what you wanted, but there's still weeks on the season to get back in that winner's column. So congratulations on your second place finish here tonight.
Thanks, boys. We'll be back there.
Yes, sir. And last but not least, we'll bring in your third place finisher here tonight, where Mr. Tony Trapasso is standing by with Mike Keegan.
Mike Keegan, not the most graceful podium finishes, but all things considered, going from the front to the back and back to the front, you can't be too disappointed with a podium tonight.
No, I busted my ass for that one. Yeah, I was kind of following Rusty. He was playing on me, and then just got in the hole, I guess, and went to the back, and I was absolutely driving the wheels off it, and man, I was really fast towards the end. I got to third. I think I passed Detweiler, and then I saw the leaders, and then I heard the 2 laps to go. So felt like I had actually a car to almost probably win the race, or at least be very competitive. But making a mistake early killed me, but it was a lot of fun.
Well, for what it's worth, you did set quick time of the race with a 16-1. So congratulations on that. But, we did see you have a little bit of problems early on. It seems like your car really started to come in as the track started to slick off more.
Yeah, I was pretty tight early, and that really killed me, especially trying to keep speed up to get to But, towards the end, I don't know how many cars I passed, but, yeah, I got by whoever's in third, and saw the leaders and thinking might have a chance, but yeah, 2 laps to go. That's not a lot of time to gain a straightaway, but yeah, felt like I had a really competitive car, and 1 spot short of Rusty, so points are still tight, but we'll try again next week.
Well, between yourself, Darren Detweiler, Chris Roberts, and Kevin Hanley, you guys were just throwing hand grenades at each other for the final half of the race. Talk us through that final restart, because we saw you get an amazing jump. And Roberts and Hanley were both it almost was like they were asleep when you pulled the trigger.
Yeah, I just been racing a long time. You'd be able to time your starts good, but I knew them guys were going to the bottom, they weren't going to run the top, so I started just absolutely ripping the lip. That's where I like to run, and was able to get around and get some good runs and kind of took the line away. But yeah, that restart really helped me. I was the one that caused one of the cautions, but yeah, we'll try again next week. Maybe we can keep this points battle close and maybe go for a championship.
Well, you mentioned next week as we go from the half mile here at Knoxville to the other famous half mile at Eldora next week. Your thoughts going from a relatively flatter track to the high banks of Eldora next week?
Absolutely hate Knoxville. So I actually got a setup for Colmacito. He kind of helped me with the setup tonight, and Eldora's a little bit different, higher bank, and I've always somewhat done good there, at least a while ago. I haven't raced her in a while, but I feel pretty good about going there. I think we'll be competitive, and we'll see what happens.
Now, are you expecting it to race similar to this, where you're going to see 2 and 3 groups start to form up, or is it going to be put it on the high line and let it eat all night long?
I think maybe in the heat races there might be I don't know, because there wasn't a lot of cars, but there might become like a kind of like a line off the top, but usually it's right around the lip there, and that's where I like to run, so that's where I'm gonna be next week. So just to let everybody else know.
All right. Well, again, Mike, congratulations on the podium. Before we let you go, is there anybody you want to thank?
I gotta thank everybody on MKR. I gotta thank MAK Fab and Weld. There's a bunch of sponsors on this car. I can't name them all, but they all helped me out. Gotta thank Chris Roberts for putting this together, and you guys for broadcasting.
All right. Well, Mike, hopefully we'll see you in a few minutes at Williams Grove in the Big Block Modifieds, as that server is getting ready to go up here in another about 60 seconds.
You'll see me there.
All right. We will be right back after this word from our sponsors. And when you come back, folks, we're going to be dancing with the big blocks.
We're about to catch the world's fastest plane straight to Williams Grove.
Worth noting, it is between 2 drivers for this championship. One, Lubomir Moritz of Positive Sim Racing. One, Paul Ilbrink, of course, Radicals Online. Paul Ilbrink with a storming start. He's had to really work off the challenges.
Ilbrink, pardon me.
Ilbrink is off. The battle will rage and intensify.
a hop, skip, and a jump, and all of a sudden, we're at the beautiful Williams Grove Speedway in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, for your rendition of the Dirty Old Bastards Big Block Modified Series, the first time you have ever seen them on the Esports Broadcasting Network, and it is an absolute treat to be calling them alongside somebody who has a lot of history with watching and broadcasting these Big Block Modifieds, Mr. Tony Trapasso. Tell the people about these amazing machines.
Basically, what you're looking at is if a sprint car and a dirt late model had a bastard child. The suspension is very similar to what you would see on a dirt late model with the 3-link rear suspension and so on. But your driver sits in line with the engine, and when we say big block, we mean big. 468 cubic inch maximum. These cars generally have way more horsepower than they could ever possibly hope to put to the ground, and you really have to be up on the wheel in these things.
That's exactly right. I've had a little bit of real-world experience here at a track close to me. The Northeast Dirt Car Series came down, but they came down with the small block, the 358 modifieds, the 602s that were in them, and those cars put a lot of power, and I cannot imagine how much power we're about to see out of these big block modifieds.
Depending on which engine builder is lying to you, you're talking somewhere between 750 and 900 horsepower. But more importantly, you're talking close to 1,000 foot-pounds of torque in a naturally aspirated engine.
That's the key word. It's amazing to think of what they can do with these naturally aspirated engines. And see, I come from a very different world as far as dirt racing is concerned. We've got the late models and the street stocks and all that, but you guys up there, man, y'all are going absolutely nuts with these modifieds. I mean, I'm accustomed to the bigger, the open wheel modifieds, those kind of modifieds. These things are a new world that I am very excited to get into alongside of you.
Well, as far as what you're seeing right now, you can kind of blame Gary Ballou, a famous driver from the late 70s, early 80s, who decided to bring, at the time of that it happened, there was a famous car called, they nicknamed it the Batmobile. And at the time, you had to run a stock roofline. So what Gary decided to do was play with the way that the car worked and put flat panels on the thing and then put the roof off a Lincoln Continental. And there was nothing that they could do to stop him, but at the time, everybody thought, let's make the bodies right down tight to the frames, where the driver was still in line with the motor, but everybody was running these really tiny bodies. Well, they went to the Syracuse Mile, which you and I had spoken about in the previous race, where it's a mile track, and aerodynamics were king there. Well, what Gary did was he read the rule book and saw that you had to have the body panels could be no wider than the wheel width. So he put the side panels right at the edge of the tires, and then had these big flat panels that led to this giant spoiler. He had so much downforce that nobody could touch him. He was the first car to qualify at the Syracuse Mile with an average lap speed north of 100 miles an hour. And everybody was crying foul, but everybody spent the rest of the week trying to widen the bodies that they already had, and a lot of them looked like garbage and they just barely passed tech. But shortly after that, they decided to come out with a body template, if you will, and that's more along the lines of what we're seeing now, is they changed the templates to more readily mirror what you're going to see in the real world, as opposed to just fantasy bodies, because at the time everybody was running either an AMC Gremlin or a Pacer kind of body, and they used to call them mud buses because they looked like a short school bus.
Well, I think that it is now customary that we begin a new segment on ESPN called History Lessons in Racing with Tony Trapasso.
Hey, when you grow up in the Northeast like I do, you've got to know you're racing, or else, especially with the group I grew up with. If you don't know what the hell's going on in the world of racing around here, as a kid when I was growing up, nobody talked to you.
Well, you know about those types of racing when I grew up watching, the Mike Duvals and the Scott Bloomquist, the super late model guys. So it's always amazing to me to see the community we have here at ESPN and the differences in how we grew up watching racing and bringing all of those aspects together and bringing you the quality broadcast that we have. But a little bit about this Big Block Modified series so far on the year. 6 races. Kevin Hanley has won 2 of them. He is your points leader. Mike Keegan, who we spoke with just a little while ago, he has won 1 race. He sits in 2nd. Chris Roberts sits in 3rd in points. Brock Garris, a driver who we're going to see tonight, sits 4th. Then you got Jeremy Prey tied with him for 4th as well. So a lot of your sprint car guys you're going to see here once again in this Big Block Modified series, but also a lot of new faces here for ESBN.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, Hanley with the points lead led the hot lap session by over a 1/10 of a second too. So something to keep an eye on as qualifying underway. Greenwood out on track right now, bringing it out of turn 4 to take the green flag in the design number 43.
Again, a lot of guys out there taking their qualifying laps. You've got Prey, Garris, Hannigan, Pickle. Fantastic name. Absolutely love that last name for Joshua Pickle there. But a lot of guys coming in here. We're going to see lap times very soon. Not so far. Oh, there we go. Your first time's coming from Brock Garris, Aaron Schaefer, Nicholas McGeethy. You got Garris on top so far. Hanley straight to the top of the board.
Not a big shocker, especially considering that he's already got a couple wins on the season, and he was over a 1/10 to the good in the hot lap session. But Keegan gets bumped to 3rd right now as Mason Hannigan. Now Jeremy Prey jumps to 2nd, and still nobody's able to touch Kevin Hanley as he's 2.5 tenths to the good already.
A driver in a class of his own, it may seem so far in qualifying. The next closest to him is Joshua Pickle at a 20.338. And other than that, nobody else able to touch him. Looks like the only person we have left to come out is Tyson Landis in the number 31 machine. So far, he has not done so. And we've only got 5 seconds left in qualifying, so I believe Landis will not take a time here.
Yeah, Landis seemed to have been struggling during the hot lap session as first heat race getting ready to grid up right now as your points leader going to start him from the pole. That is Kevin Hanley in the 110. He's going to be joined with the 1X of Mason Hannigan. Transfer in as we've got 15 cars scheduled to roll off here tonight. And it looks like we do have a full field of 8 out on track right now as field's starting to form up behind the Chevy Silverado pace truck. Hanley going to have the button when we get ready to turn him loose.
This one's going to be a lot different than the Knoxville Raceway you saw moments ago. A lot narrower of a track. Not going to be too much room for these guys to run 3 wide, maybe 2 wide's about all we're going to see. I'm guessing that most of these guys are going to stay towards the bottom of the track throughout these 2 heat races, but this is going to be very, very interesting with all that power in those little small race cars. Who's going to be able to control it the best? Right now, it looks like Hanley may be in a class of his own. We'll find out on the jump as we go into turn number 3.
Now, the one thing you got to keep in mind is
momentarily here, we're going to cut to a quick commercial break as we take care of some technical difficulties. Stick with us here at ESBN. Sorry about that brief intermission. There are a couple of technical difficulties, but ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Unfortunately, we did not catch most of heat race number 1, but it was Kevin Hanley taking the win over Mason Hannigan, Mike Keegan, Chris Roberts, Brock Garris, Brad Lamberton, Tyson Landis, and Nicholas McGeethy, who was a DNF. But here in heat race number 2, we have had all heck break loose already. As I believe, if I could get confirmation, it was Laudermilch taking a hit to the outside wall.
John Bragman just caught more airtime than a skateboard at the X Games.
It was John Bregman. Okay, let's go back and see if I can take a look here and see what happened. I didn't catch it in real time.
He got nerfed coming out of 2 and ate the outside wall.
I see it now. The 17 of Bregman gets a little bit of a bump there and just up and over sky ground, and over the wall there. So that does give us our first caution of the night here for this DOB Big Block Modified series. But currently it is, I believe, Joshua Pickle in the lead with Jeremy Pareto as outside, Kyle Stoltz, Craig Laudermilch, Jake Greenwood, and Aaron Schaefer still on the track.
So 7 cars started, 6 cars going to finish. Bragman going to have to go to the backup car for the A main, as all 15 drivers that showed up tonight will be making the A main. They are going to redraw the top 3 from each heat race after the completion of this heat, as Pickle has the button as the lights go out on the Chevy Silverado Pace Truck. Pace Truck gets ready to haul it off onto pit road as they go into turn number 3. Pickle can pick up the throttle anytime between the entrance of 3 and the exit of 4 as the green flag gets ready to come on out. Pickle starts to roll back into the throttle midway through the corner. We are back underway for heat race number 2.
Pickle hit the loud pedal, got a good jump on everybody else, has about 6 car lengths back to the second place man in the 117 Prey, who's got another 4 car lengths back to the 01, and we're good and spread out here up until about the 17 and the 11, or the 711 and the 77 getting into each other here, as we're now single file.
The 711, which is lettered as the 11 right now, with He Gone on the back, slugging it out with Aaron Schaefer right now. Those are the last 2 cars still running, as right now Pickle, Prey, Stoltz, Greenwood, your top 4.
Like you just stated, it's all Pickle out front, but Prey is inching closer and closer, runs a bit of a wacky line there in turn number 1, loses some ground on Pickle, who is just hugging the bottom all the way around, arcs that Big Block Modified in very nicely, hammers the gas back, and he is off and away with a couple of battles brewing back further behind him.
Stoltz and Laudermilch. Laudermilch throws it to the outside on Stoltz. Stoltz has no way to defend. Laudermilch up into the number 3 slot as... No, sorry, they're still side by side as they go down the back straightaway into turn number 3. 3 wide for 3rd.
They all said leave the left front. Oh, contact there with the 01 and the 11. 01 sent down to the bottom of the racetrack, gathers it back up, pulls back up in line behind the number 43. As I was about to say, these guys all left the left front at home. They're riding it around on 3 wheels through the corner, and there's the 43 coming through as the race concludes here down the front straightaway.
Greenwood able to just pick off that final redraw spot, I think.
That was correct, yes. So it was Pickle picking up the win. Prey, Greenwood, Laudermilch, Stoltz, Schaefer, and Bragman rounding out your field. And quickly they will go into the redraw here for the Big Block Modified Series presented by the Dirty Old Bastards.
As Kevin Hanley draws the 6.
Joshua Pickle here will draw the number 4 for the restart.
Hannigan goes 3.
See what he will draw 6th, I believe. They do it in a random number generator. They'll all pick a number 1 through 6, and then the random number generator will reconfigure it and spin out where they will start. So it's Hannigan going to the back. He'll roll off 6th. Jeremy Prey will draw the pole and roll off from the pole. Mike Keegan goes with number 2, trying to get some good luck here. He will roll off second. And now the track will open for the warm-up session. So just to recap there, we have Prey rolling off number 1. Mike Keegan will roll off outside pole. Hannigan drew 6th. Hanley, I believe, drew 4th.
You got those backwards.
Oh, I did get those backwards. You are correct.
Hannigan drew 3rd. Hanley drew 6th.
Gotcha.
So still waiting on who's going to roll 4 and 5. But redraw already down and away. Hot lap session. Final look these guys are going to get at this track before we turn them loose for 36 laps of anger. And like you and I were talking during that little technical break that we had, I'm not a fan of the line you have to take to be quick around here going through turn 3, because you've got to flirt with that inside wall that separates the pit entrance and disaster.
You have got to have a death wish to make it around turns 3 and 4 here at Williams Grove. That is an absolute fact. Turn 1, you see most of these guys in practice here running a bit of a higher line. Looks like they're trying to work it in for the feature to see, what they can and cannot do as we get closer and closer here. We may see a bit of a cushion, but I'm not expecting too much as far as that's concerned. But we could see very well multiple grooves of racing here as the track wears out.
Well, the other thing you got to be careful of, too, is going down the back straightaway. Just as you go under that blue bridge, that's where the crossover is to let haulers into the infield. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of a jut out right there, and if you're not careful, you can catch that wrong, and you're piecing the car back onto the hauler.
Ultra.
And you're calling up Bicknell and going, hey, send me a new one, because there's not going to be anything left of that ride.
Trust me, in my little bit of experience here at the Williams Grove Speedway, I have hit that jut out many a time, and it is not fun, to say the least.
And you're definitely not wrong. I'm looking at the times here in the warm-up, and we're only about half a second between the fastest time in the original hot lap session and what these guys are putting up right now. So the track doesn't seem to be going dry slick like we see a lot of other tracks in the simulator do.
And even more interesting is now there isn't really a gap between Hanley and the rest of the field. Jeremy Prey is only exactly a 1/10 of a second off of Hanley. So that could bode well for the rest of these cars if Hanley doesn't have that much of a gap between them and him as we go into this feature.
Well, you take a look at the gap between second place Jeremy Prey in this warm-up session. There's less than a 1/10 between second and 10th.
That's exactly right. That just goes to show you the quality of racing you will find here with all of the Dirty Old Bastards series. The 410 Sprint Car Series is so close, and now you guys are getting a live look at how close this Big Block Modified Series is as well, and you're not going to find any better than right here on ESBN as we are inching closer and closer to this 35-lap feature event.
And the thing is, you got to keep in mind that with the sprint car, you've got that giant wing on top to help you with the handling. You don't have that adjustment in these cars. So whatever you've got aero-wise is what you have. So everything that these guys are doing, it's all chassis setup, and you hope for the best. You hope your crew makes the right call between the warm-up session and what you think the track is going to do during the feature, because you've got one shot to get it right and 36 laps to get it done.
That's exactly right. And as you were talking about that, the drivers were forced to make their final adjustments on the cars and take them to the starting grid, where they will line up as follows. It will be Jeremy Prey rolling off on the pole with Mike Keegan to his outside. Mason Hannigan in the second row. alongside, I believe it was Mike. Not exactly sure. Don't have my redraw screen up in front of me. Tony, did you get a word on who will be rolling off fourth?
Should be Craig Laudermill. Should be Craig Laudermill, and then
They're getting realigned here, so
Kevin,
we're gonna have
and
our
Kevin
questions
Hanley.
answered.
Kevin Hanley's going to start 6th. I know that.
I do know that for a fact, but the 4th and 5th is what I was unsure of. They're getting realigned here, so we're gonna be updated momentarily. If you'll just stick with us for just a second. As you see there, they're giving you a nice parade lap, awesome camera shots of these big block modifieds. A bunch of really, really good looking cars here, revving up those engines, giving you a show. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the big block modifieds.
And it looks like, yes, we've got Prey, then the X of Keegan, then we've got the 43 of Greenwood starting 3rd. No, that's Hannigan. Oh, yeah, Greenwood, then Hannigan. So,
Yes, that is correct.
and it looks like we've got the field formed up behind the Chevy Silverado pace truck. The field works its way into the 3-4 complex for the final time. Chris Roberts telling them to turn them loose. The only thing that's left to do is you take one more tear off, adjust the 5-point safety harness, and Grandpa pop a Viagra, because it's time to get it on with the big block modifieds at the Grove. And it looks like we are going one more parade lap to make sure we've got everybody in line.
Mm-hmm. A little early there on the Viagra call, Tony, but as
Never
we've
too early
seen,
for Viagra.
it is that's exactly right. I mean, I wouldn't suggest it first thing in the morning going to work and having those problems all day long, but
Depends on
like
what your
we've
job is.
seen, that is exactly right. But as we've seen in the other DOB series, they take one parade lap to make sure that all the black flags and stuff are taken care of. So we end up with a 35 lap feature with, again, the 117 of Prey on the point into turn number 3. Tony, let them loose this time, buddy.
Race fans, it's showtime! As Mike Keegan brings them out of turn number 4, pulls the trigger, and we are underway for 36 laps under anger here at Williams Grove.
Already 2 and 3 wide racing as we look towards the back half of the field. We've got 2 and 3 wide into turn number 3. That 43 of Greenwood sends the 33 of Pickles up the track. Pickle gonna rebound alongside of, I believe that's the 110 of Hanley, and we're on into lap number 3.
Hanley trying to make room where there's not a lot to be had as Prey and Keegan start to walk away. Greenwood, Hanley, and Hannigan throw a blanket over them right now as the battle for 4th is on.
That's exactly right. You got Hannigan there battling with the 110 of Hanley. So 2 H's doing battle. You got 8 squared there, the 1 star, and the 110 battling it out for 4th right now. Give it to the 110 as we go into turn number 3.
You wouldn't expect anything less from Kevin Hanley, as he is showing why he's your points leader, as he's already starting to pick his way through traffic after starting shotgun on the redraw.
That's exactly right, but still a lot of work yet to be done for driver 110, as he's let the 1 car get a little bit by him, now working down the 43, who's into the outside wall. That's Jake Greenwood, your winner in the sprint car series, made the long haul over here to Williams Grove to run the, big contact between the 110 and the 43.
Hockey-style hip check from Hanley going into Greenwood as they both get it collected back up and now try to reel in Mason Hannigan, as Hannigan has problems going into 3.
Hannigan has problems, but Keegan not able to capitalize on him as he's having problems of his own keeping the car straight. That opens the door for the 1X of Hannigan as he peeks to the inside. Then you got Hanley right there. This is about to get interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Stay on the edge of your seats.
Absolutely, as here comes the 43 to the inside on Hanley. It's Greenwood trying to make his presence felt. still side by side. That's Hannigan and Keegan for your battle for second, as Hanley in the 110 just biding his time right now. Caution is out, as looks like Craig Laudermich getting it all wrong in the 7-Eleven.
That's exactly right. Go back here and see if he had any help there. Goes in, dives it in on the 93 of Roberts, and then collects Stoltz back there in the 01, and they both end up on their lid.
The 11 of Laudermilch able to drive away. Stoltz unfortunately had to tow.
Laudermilch did an entire flip over there. Got extremely lucky, I should say, to be still in this thing, but he's going to drop to the tail end of the field there. Tough break for the 7-Eleven of Laudermilch.
As Stoltz, unfortunately, his night is pretty much going to be done, as there are no fast repairs here, and he had a lot of rear suspension damage after putting it on its lid in the 1-2 complex.
Well, this could make it interesting up front, as we'll have to rack them, and restack them here. That could bode well for Kevin Hanley, who's been awfully quick trying to pick his way through traffic. He's got a better starting spot now than he did on the original jump. I believe we're going to start single file, if I'm not mistaken, as do the other series. So Jeremy Prey is going to be the lone man out there to try and get another jump here. He's run a fantastic race so far.
And if you're Jeremy Prey, you got to be about ready to start kicking puppies, because he had a 2-second gap over the X of Keegan.
There's never an excuse to kick puppies, Tony, but he ought to be a little bit upset. It looks like we are going to stay single file, however. So Hanley, not as much of a good restart as he was hoping for. Could have, if they ran by other rules, could have been on the second row outside, would have been a perfect starting spot, but he's going to stick in fourth here, try to pick his way through those two cars in front of him to get to the back of that 117. But as we do so many times, it's about time to turn them loose once again from the Grove.
Absolutely. As the lights are out on the Chevy Silverado pace track, it makes the hard left turn onto pit road. As Prey can pull the trigger whenever he feels like it, waits till he can get it pointed straight, pulls the trigger. We are back underway. Keegan not getting the restart he was hoping for, as he has the 1X all over him right now.
And beyond that, the field was jumbled up a little bit back, looking towards the 64 Brock Garrison cars around him. They got pretty jumbled up there, but now able to maintain it, get back out single file. We got almost 3 wide. We might have 3 wide in turn number 1 here, battling for second.
The 110 of Hanley trying to thread the needle up through the center. Keegan on the high side. That's Hannigan in the 1, being scored as the 9. So drunk tech officials again. And here comes the 43 of Greenwood trying to make something happen, riding the cushion right now as the field works its way out of turn number 4.
We saw Greenwood make it happen on the high side and then the low side in his earlier feature event, when he might have the magic here once again tonight. We're on lap number 11, coming into 12. It's about to be go time for that 110 of Kevin Hanley, as he is going to want to get by that X car in front of him and the 1X in front of him very, very soon.
Hannigan holding on for second right now, running that ultra low line. Keegan has his hands full right now with your points leader. That's Kevin Hanley in the 110, and don't count out Jake Greenwood in the 43, as Jeremy Prey right now in control of this one.
He's in control, but the 1X is throwing little baby shots in there as we go into the turns. He's throwing it down low, hoping for the best. Every lap you see it, but so far it is that 117. He has been dominant in this feature event. 1X not able to hold the run, but he might have something here.
Hannigan with a great run coming off of 4, finding a little bit of grip way down on that ultra low line, flirting with disaster with those powdered donuts that mark the infield. Hannigan all over Prey right now as the field works its way through 3 and 4. We're about to put 14 in the books.
That's exactly right. 14 going into 15. New leader at the line. It's Hannigan, currently in the 1X, but that 117 battling back on the outside. He's not going to go down without a fight as the yellow flag waves.
Brock Garris.
It will be Brock Garris, as pointed out. Garris, you see him there on your screens, tucked sideways, getting her back going. Let's take a little rewind peek, see exactly what happened to him. Looks like he just had a little bit of a do-si-do off the back of the 93 of Chris Roberts.
And the field doing a great job to not get collected in that one. That could have ended a whole lot more poorly than it did, as everybody just taking evasive action and making sure that they don't get into the 64.
Absolutely could have, but good job by the rest of the field, and good job by Garris to not take out the inside or outside wall there, as he'll get back going here. Not out of this thing just yet. We cannot count out anybody just yet, as your new leader Mason Hannigan is going to have his hands full on the restart from the 117 of Jeremy Prey.
Prey looking to get that lead back, and he's got to worry, though, about the X behind him and the 110 behind him, as that's Keegan and Hanley. We've seen those guys throw shots all night long, and the question is, can Hannigan hang on? Can Prey hang on? Can Greenwood make any headway, as he's got a strong field in front of him?
Well, if I want to base Greenwood's run so far off of anything, it's going to be how spectacularly he raced the latter half of the race at Knoxville. We could see the same here at Williams Grove. Greenwood, one of the spectacular drivers. The 110 of Hanley, a spectacular driver as well, does double duty with the Sprint Car Series as well as the Big Block Modifieds, as does Hannigan and Keegan. So a lot of guys you're used to seeing being great drivers putting on an absolute show here tonight. And we've still got about 20 laps to go. They're going to duke it out once again. Lights are out on the Chevy Pace truck.
Field works its way down the back straightaway. Mason Hannigan in the X, the 1X, going to have the button as the field works its way under the pedestrian bridge. And I'm still waiting for the first one to hit that in the virtual world. And I know the cars have hit it in the real world. As the pace truck makes the hard left turn onto pit road, Hannigan can pull the trigger whenever he feels like it, waits till he can get that car pointed straight, drops it down low, coming off of 4, and we are back underway.
Like you said, he was on the loud pedal. Hannigan off to a good advantage into turn number 1. Going to try and pull up in front of the 117 off of turn number 2. Who jumps the berm just a little bit, but has a decent run. That 117 not letting the 1X run away with it as of yet. But don't look now, but here comes a 4-wide battle, or a 3-wide battle for about the 4th spot.
As Keegan and Hanley throwing haymakers at each other right now. They cross it over going into turn number 1. That's Keegan on the low line, Hannigan on the high side, Hanley on the high side, as Pickle trying to find his way through, and we've got contact going into 3.
That was almost disastrous for the X machine.
Oh!
And we got even more contact. That was Pickle in the 110 making contact. So the gloves are off here at Williams Grove right now.
As we are just past the halfway point, Hannigan showing the way. Prey sits in second, about 5 car lengths back. You're another 4 car lengths back to Mike Keegan in the X. And then it gets tight as Greenwood, Hanley, and Pickle slugging it out for the number 4 slot right now.
All of these guys duking it out tooth and nail. We see Chris Roberts there battling with, I believe that is Brad Lamerson. Lamerson throwing some shots in there. Roberts able to get away from him. That right there, that's a hornet's nest of cars all duking it out there in the teens spots of this race. That could get interesting to see who can make a run from the back to the front.
Absolutely. As Keegan and Pickle doing battle right now, that is for your final podium spot. That's Pickle in the yellow car, Keegan in the red and white car, as Pickle giving Keegan everything he can handle right now.
Well, we saw Pickle earlier be a lightning quick car in his heat race. Drew an unlucky number for the redraw, and then had a little bit of contact early in the race, fell pretty much all the way back, and so far has done an amazing job of rebounding here. Contact between him and the X. In real life, that would have been a pop tire. Luckily, this is iRacing, so he's able to keep it going, and the caution flag rears its ugly head once again.
Wow. That's the second time Laudermilch put it on its roof.
That's
and
exactly
he's got heavy
right.
suspension damage.
He was battling there with the 77 of Schaefer. Laudermilch arced it in a little quicker than Schaefer was anticipating, and contact was made and then more contact was made as the 7-Eleven goes up and over and up and over.
It was the second bounce that got it, and he completely ripped the left rear suspension off of that car. Or sorry, right rear suspension off that car. As we've got an onboard, had an onboard, and that looked like fun.
It did. Like I've said many a time, I hope that he's not playing in VR. That's that 7-Eleven of Laudermilch. If he's playing in VR, that was a vomit-inducing flip there.
You're not wrong. I mean, we've seen worse in other series, but as far as you definitely don't want to have a full stomach when it happens, that was definitely one of them.
Well, but I'll tell you real quick, the worst wreck I've seen in iRacing so far was at, I believe it was the Lucas Oil Speedway with the WSRL Truck Series, and it was the 53 of Carl Burke, shot off like a rocket, went to the moon and came back. Luckily, we didn't see that just now between Laudermilch and Schaefer, but still a hard lick for both of those drivers nonetheless.
Absolutely. As looks like Landis has taken it pit side, and Laudermilch doesn't seem to be going pit side yet.
He's gonna egg her on for all she's got. I'm assuming getting down to the nitty gritty of this race, he's pretty much gonna do all he can to stay out there. But we go back to the front of the field where the lights are out on the Chevy Silverado pace truck. It's the one of Mason Hannigan gonna lead us down to the green as that pace truck dips off into your turn number 3 pit entrance. The 1X is going to fire out of 4. He's on the loud pedal. The field follows. We're back underway.
Prey got a better restart that time as he's able to stay with Hannigan. Still has to worry about Keegan in the X. Pickle right there with him is Greenwood under pressure right now from the 110 of Hanley. Hanley trying to make up some ground that he lost earlier.
The amazing thing here is that even though this track is starting to get worn out, we are still 2 and 3 wide all the way back. We see the 110 machine of Hanley battling it out with Greenwood in the 43, and in front of them 2 wide between Pickle and Keegan. There's battles all over the racetrack. Pick your favorite one and keep an eye on it.
As we're 12 laps to go, this time across the stripe, Hannigan showing the way, and you got to wonder how much does that very bottom line have left, as a lot of guys are dipping down there trying to find anything that they can get to make some moves. And we've got another one around.
It was Chris Roberts in the 93, the series director here for the Dirty Old Bastards. Let's see exactly what happened here. Doesn't look like there was much of a spin involved, just got too low going into turn number 1, clipped the inside guardrail, and sort of kind of went around, came to a screeching halt there. So pretty much no harm, no foul for Roberts. He'll be able to get back in line and get back going with these guys as we work down, I believe, our 4th caution of the night.
And we've already got a couple of cars that have put it on the hauler. Looks like Bragman has decided to call it an evening.
That's exactly right. He is your first DNF of this race so far. Tyson Landis looks like he'll be a DNF as well as Kyle Stoltz, who departed earlier. So down to about 12 cars, or 11 cars here. And okay. So we look back at your leaders. Lights are still on the pace truck. It's Hannigan still leading the way here. That 117, he's been so close to catching back up. That's Jeremy Prey. Just hasn't caught the luck with the caution bug yet.
You've got to almost anticipate when the leader is going to go. And if Hannigan was smart, he would change up where and how he's restarting this thing. Try to find some grip wherever he can, and hopefully get a better restart, because if Prey gets the same type of restart that he got last time, he's going to give Hannigan everything he can handle.
That he is. Hannigan has to be prepared for all heck to break loose here. 11 laps remain in this feature event. The 1X has led half of it. The 117 led half of it. We've got 11 laps remaining to see if anybody else wants a piece of the pie as well here.
As the pace truck jumps behind the pit wall, Hannigan looks like he's getting ready to play a little shenaniganry here as the field works its way into turn number 3. Hannigan running the high line this time through 3 and 4. Watch for him to cut down and point that car straight. Does it, and Prey stays with him.
Well, an excellent jump there for Hannigan. Prey about 4 car lengths back here as we work into turn number 2. That 1X did an excellent job running about the reverse slider line here as he's going in a little bit higher. There he goes in low in 3 and 4. And we might have a little bit of battle of brewing. Here comes Pickle in the 33.
Pickle in the 33 and Keegan in the X. Keegan throws it to the way inside. Slide job coming off a 2. Jumps the cushion. Loses all that momentum. Now he's going to have to claw it all the way back as Prey gets back by him. Still 3 wide going into 3.
Not at all what Keegan wanted there, but he does take the high side advantage on the 117. He's going to get the run down the front straightaway. That also opens the door for Pickle. And don't look now, Mama warned you about him. The 110 machine of Kevin Hanley's making his presence known.
Throw a blanket over your 2nd through 4th. Make that 5th. As here comes Pickle trying to throw the slider and just stacks him up behind him. Oh, contact!
Big wreck it looks like. Did they keep it going?
They kept it going.
Well, Hanley came to a spinning halt. He's now in the pits. He got a quick tow there. So Hanley, unfortunately, might be out of this race.
Hanley just ate the wall hard.
That is exactly what happened for Hanley. Surprised the caution flag did not wave, but we stay clean and green here. We're on lap number 30 of 36, giving us 7 laps remaining. So still out front, your leader is Mason Hannigan, who now has a pretty decent advantage over Mike Keegan.
Definitely not the night that your points leader was hoping for, as he just completely ripped the left front suspension off the car as he and Pickle got into it after Pickle and Greenwood got into it.
That's exactly right, as we see Hannigan, who currently sits pretty low in the standings here for this big block modified series. I believe this may, in fact, be his first race of the year with them, as I don't see him on the point standings. So this could be an amazing jump for Hannigan, coming in one time, getting a win here. Mike Keegan's going to have a big night with the 110 of Hanley out of this thing. He was only back by 10 points, so we could see a new points leader out of this night.
Well, here's something also to point out. Hannigan right now is the only car on track that has a pro license. The only member of the Black Bumper Brigade.
I didn't even think about that. Hannigan, a Pro Series driver. Goes to show you the skill level that some of these guys have is just insane when it comes to these races.
And we're back under caution as Schaefer goes around again.
I believe the third incident that Schaefer's been involved in got in way too low in turn 3. And as you were pointing out earlier, Tony, those Ute tires down there, they stick out and grab you.
Yeah, powdered donuts are not your friend at a racetrack.
Absolutely not. So tough break for Schaefer. He takes her pit side, may in fact be done for the night. But that doesn't mean that our action is over here. This one still has a lot of life left in it.
And it looks like we are going to go green-white checker as Hannigan going to show the way. Keegan's going to have 2 shots at him. Jake Greenwood right there, able to hopefully make contact and make something happen. Jeremy Prey still within striking distance in the 117. And Chris Roberts, don't count him out as he rounds out your top 5.
This could either be a huge night for one of the 2 drivers, Mike Keegan or Jake Greenwood. Greenwood was your winner earlier, as we've stated so many times, in the Sprint Car Series, and he could also sneak his way. He's already in a podium spot. He could also sneak his way into the top 2 and have a very, very successful night. As the lights are still on here, we're going to come around and get one to go to green. Go to green, white, checkered for Hannigan, Keegan, and Greenwood here with Jeremy Prey still looming in the shadows.
Now, to be able to jump from a 410 wing sprint car into a big block modified at 2 completely different styles of racetrack. Yes, they're both half miles, but this one is more like Martinsville with dirt on it, as opposed to the big flowing sweeper that was Knoxville. And to be able to transition from that car to this car, as well as some of these guys are. I mean, we saw Keegan and Greenwood, up towards the front all night long in the 410 race, and here they are battling up towards the front in the big block modifieds. That's nothing short of fantastic.
It absolutely is not as even no practice in between, nothing. These guys just come in, bang, bang, bang it out. And some of the best drivers you will ever see right here in the DOB series. Mason Hannigan going to bring us into turn number 3. See when he wants to fire here.
Taking that low line, pulls the trigger in the middle of 3 and 4. We are back underway as Keegan under heavy pressure right now from Jake Greenwood, as we've got 2 to go.
Keegan did not get the jump that he wanted there to stay with the 1X. He's now being pressured by Greenwood into turn number 3. The magical white flag is gonna wave out of turn number 4 for the 1X of Mason Hannigan. And we've got that battle brewing for second. Mama, get the camera out. You might need it.
White flag in the air. Hannigan in control of this one. Greenwood, one final shot at Keegan as they work their way down the back straightaway side by side. Keegan able to keep it wound up on that top lane. Hannigan going to hang on for the victory. Greenwood trying to make it happen on the low line. Keegan on the high side coming to the stripe. Give second place to Keegan. Greenwood hanging on for third. Prey for fourth. Chris Roberts rounding out your top 5.
And Brad Lamberson finishes 6th. Craig Laudermilch 7th after so much controversy with that car, getting in a couple of accidents earlier in the race. He pulls it home 7th. So good run for that driver. Brock Garrison in 8th. Joshua Pickle comes home 9th after some trouble late in the race. Then you had Aaron Schaefer, Kevin Hanley, John Bregman, Tyson Landis, and Kyle Stoltz pulling off early.
And Pickle wadded it on the final lap, just barely able to hang on for a top 10. So a little bit of love being shown on the front straightaway between Hannigan and Keegan, as I believe, Ryan, we've got our third place finisher, Jake Greenwood, with you now.
Yeah, we'll start with the third place man, Jake Greenwood. An amazing night for you if you look at it all in retrospect. A win earlier with the 410 sprint cars. You jump in a big block modified with no practice in between. Come out here and run third tonight at a completely different racetrack. Man, how'd you do it, first of all, man?
Oh, man, it was tough. I don't think I'd be sitting here talking to you if that incident between those guys didn't happen, because I did not feel great. I felt like I was really skating and didn't really have any fight there, but just kind of kept my nose clean and got lucky that wreck happened.
Well, you may not have felt great, but it certainly looked great. I mean, so there's a huge difference between what you did earlier and what you just did now between the sprint cars and the big block modifieds, and to do it at 2 completely different racetracks, man, was there any kind of a feeling out for you in the beginning half of this race, or are you one of those guys that can just get in anything at any time and be competitive?
Well, I run the 358 here, I think once or twice, and had some decent success, and so that kind of transferred over here to the big block for the first time. I think if I go back in and make some tweaks, I can definitely be a little better. Get myself a little more comfortable anyway, so maybe I can move around a little more. But all in all, I felt good enough, I guess, there in the moisture. If I tried to venture around, like Mason was just nailing the bottom, and I tried a couple times, and I absolutely could not do it.
Well, Yeah, you had a couple opportunities to catch him there, but Mason seemed to be on another level here tonight. But going forward in this Big Block Modified series, next week we head to the Lima Land Motorsports Park, a completely different racetrack. What are your expectations going into that one?
Oh, I definitely like that place. It suits these big blocks well, and I think I might be able to be a little more comfortable there. Hopefully, I'll put in a little bit of practice this week.
Well, we'll definitely be watching for you. Jake, one more time for the night. Give a shout out to your sponsors. Who's helping you on the race car?
The Most Wanted guys, they trying to get me hooked up in these cars, and they've done a heck of a job because these aren't really my strong suit being a sprint car guy. Design Metal Art for sure. Detweiler Designs for the awesome looking wrap. And you guys and Chris Roberts for putting on this league and this broadcast.
All right. Well, once again, congratulations, Jake. We'll see you next week.
Looking forward to it.
So up next, I believe Mr. Tony Trapasso is standing by with your second place finisher, Mr. Mike Keegan.
Mike Keegan, is there anything that you cannot drive successfully? We saw you run up front all night long at Knoxville in the 410 sprint cars. Now you jump into something that's completely different with the Big Block Modified here at Williams Grove. Talk us through how difficult it is to jump from a winged 410 into one of the big blocks.
It's quite different, especially with the knowledge you have to have for setting them up, making them fast. You got to drive them so different too. Just how you enter the corners, how you come off the corners, and I only race about 3 races a week, so I don't race too much since I got other priorities. But I run about 3 races a week and doing pretty good. But it's just the big blocks and 410s, they feel like they kind of drive the same, but they're still different. You even just look at them.
Well, I mean, we saw you really try to stick with it there. You weren't able to get quite as strong of a restart as Hannigan was, but you were able to hold off Jake Greenwood there in the closing laps.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's up with my restarts tonight, but I was god awful on every single one of them. But Mason was fast, and we were both in Discord, kind of John at each other, having a good time. But yeah, Jake was coming, but I knew if I just kind of held my line, run the top, that's where I like to be. So if I knew if I just run my line, he probably wouldn't be able to get by me, and I'll come home with another second.
Now we saw it towards the closing laps that it was starting to get real shiny down low. How slicked off did that bottom line get from about halfway on?
To be completely honest, I think I may have ran the complete bottom maybe one time because I couldn't hit it. I don't know how Mason was doing it, but I was kind of entering high and coming low. But yeah, it was getting a little bit more slick, and you had to kind of pedal the car more and more, and just brings out the driver within people instead of just being wide open down to the floor. But these you got to pedal quite a bit. But when it gets really slick like that, it's a handful.
Well, we saw you thread the needle when the points leader Hanley got taken out there. How much of a pucker moment was that when you saw cars sideways in front of you with about 20 to go?
Yeah, I don't like kind of seeing that happen to guys. I'd rather beat a guy fair and square. But I think me and him kind of got into a little bit of a scuffle early. I kind of pinched him in the wall, so I'm sorry about that. But yeah, I don't like thinking like that. I just got here to do the best I can, but it will help my points. Not sure where he finished, but I knew if I just kind of stayed up front, finished pretty good, I would maybe come out here with the points lead or at least really close.
Well, Mike, again, congratulations on the podium here. Switching gears, though, we go from the half mile here at the Grove this week to the 3/8 mile at Lima Land next week. I believe that's your home track, is it not?
It's somewhat
or as close to a home track as you're going to see.
Yeah, it's about maybe a little less than an hour and a half away. But yeah, my home track's Fremont and Attica. But yeah, Lima's probably the next closest. So I haven't got to run there in real life yet, but maybe at some point. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I feel like that's one of my better tracks. That's probably my top 3, and I don't think I've run a big block there yet, so I might have to get some practice in. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty good for next week. We'll just go out there, have some fun, and hopefully race towards the front.
Well, Mike, before we let you go, is there anybody you want to thank?
Yeah, I got everybody on the car, all the sponsors. I know I could name them all: Napa, BL Minute Trucking, John Wright, Fremont Fence. I'm missing a bunch, but everybody on MKR, MAK Fab and Weld, Chris Roberts for putting it on, and especially you guys for broadcasting to let the fans see how this goes on and let us get some airtime.
All right. Again, congratulations on your second podium of the night. Mike Keegan, we'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you.
And Ryan, I believe you've got the man of the hour with you right now.
Yes, sir, I do. Mason Hannigan up here in Victory Lane tonight at the Williams Grove Speedway. Mason, you had a little bit of a battle there early with the 117 of Jeremy Prey, but as time went on, you're able to get around him, and then it seemed that was all she wrote.
Yeah, the bottom's just more of a get grip down the straightaway, and the top just carries a lot more momentum, but you just get stuck up, caught up in the slick down the straightaway. So just kind of moved around in 1 and 2. Wasn't too sure of the line. Wasn't too sure of the line down in 1 and 2, and 3 and 4. I figured I had it, pretty good, and just really grabbing the grip off of 4 there and shooting down into 1.
And then other than that little battle there, it was mainly all for you about having a clean restart and being able to pull away once you did. Were you sort of playing some mind games on where you were restarting and how you were doing so? Were you changing it up a little bit as time went on?
Yeah, I mean, you just can't keep doing the same restart all the time and just give the guy behind you a great restart. And that's just what you got to do. You got to change it up and always make the guy think. So we get a good gap on every restart and just change the starting zone every time, and got a good gap to where it led to more under green.
And then aside from that, this being your first race of the season with this big block modified series, and you come out here and you win, how much of a confidence booster is that for you personally, and how much does that tell you that, hey, you could come out here with these guys week in, week out and be competitive?
Yeah, I've been just running these a lot more than I probably should with all the sprint car stuff going on, and finally got a week freed up and nothing else to do. So decided to come with big blocks, and we've been doing all right in small blocks, and just another one to the books.
Well, Mason, if you do continue to run this series, we look forward to Lima Land Motorsports Park next week. A great track that suits these big block modifieds very well. If we catch you there, do you feel like that's going to be a track that you can contend for another win at?
Possibly not. It's just some of the smaller tracks really aren't meant for them, and I'm not sure about how decent we'll be at Lima. We just gotta find the line at the right time and hope it works.
Yes, sir. It'll be all about finding that line and getting yourself hopefully back in victory lane for you. Now, before we let you go here and celebrate your big win, who do you want to thank on the race car who's helping you out?
Yeah, Black Diamond Motorsports, UDTV, Simpson Race Products. Just can't thank Chris for being on the league, and can't thank you guys for broadcasting it.
All right. Well, once again, Mason, congratulations. Fantastic race from you. We'll hopefully see you next week at Lima Land.
Yep.
So, in conclusion, a fantastic 2 races here from both the DOB series. And you can catch them right here next Thursday. Again, we got the 410 sprint cars at Eldora, the big block modifieds at Lima Land. But before that, tomorrow, right here on the Esports Broadcasting Network, you will find the Circle B Diecast Super Speedway Series from Talladega at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time. On next Tuesday, we'll go to the MX5 Pro Series at Brands Hatch. The Indy Circuit at 3:50 p.m. Next Wednesday, you'll find the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series at Chicagoland at 8:45 p.m. And then we'll circle back to, as I just stated, the 410 Sprint Cars at Eldora and the Big Block Modifieds at Lima Land. Once again, thank you to all of our great sponsors, Diecast Nuts, Rocket Racing Setups, Alex Bergeron Setup Shop, Design Metal Art, Butt Kicker, all of you guys for making this thing happen here tonight. Tony, I'll throw it back to you one more time. Do you have any closing comments for us?
I'm happy that we've got more dirt content, and I can't think of a better race that we could have debuted the big block modifieds at, other than here at Williams Grove with the DOB big block modified tour. Really looking forward to Lima Land, as that actually races. I've been on that track in the sim. It actually races very similar to my home track that I grew up on as a kid, Fulton Speedway. So these cars on that track, really looking forward to that next week.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, it's always great to see new dirt content come out, and we're hoping to have even more here in the future. But for the meantime, we've got DOB next week. I can't wait to call it. But for tonight, I have been Ryan Williams alongside Mr. Tony Trapasso and Frank Marchese taking over in the control booth. Make sure to like and subscribe to us on YouTube, like and follow us on Facebook, like or follow our Twitch as well. Hopefully we'll be able to get subscribers here soon, but make sure you do follow that Twitch. And until next time, we have been ESBN. Goodbye and good night. We'll see you again tomorrow.